is associated with the color of your skin. However, this pigment called melanin is part of your nervous system and your brain, and is basically the chemical key to life. It is called a civilizing chemical because it regulates all the rhythms in your body, when your eyebrows should grow, when you should become a man, puberty, when you should become a woman, what time your liver should be fed, what time your heart should be fed. It regulates all the rhythmicity of your system. It's a synchronizing chemical, better known as a civilizing chemical. It is how we classify races based on the pigment that they have. We're classified on the highest on the racial scale by the Europeans themselves. Everyone else has a lesser degree of melanin, and the Europeans classify themselves as having the least amount of melanin of any race. This causes them to have more ammonia in their system than black people, and more sulfur. I think it's the only time you smell it is when their hair gets wet. You're smelling the ammonia and sulfur. Sulfur makes things smell rotten, and they have more salt in their body than you do, and they have the least amount of peripheral circulation, which is circulation to your skin, than you do. The problem with ammonia is that if you put it in like a sub-degree temperature, it will boil. When you put it in a hot oven around 300 degrees Fahrenheit or so, it will freeze. It's a very tricky chemical. And that's why you walk into a room and it's very cold, and white people in it, they feel comfortable. Because the ammonia is making them feel warm. That's why you see them walking around with shorts in the snow. They have a lot of ammonia. They are biochemically different from you. But the melanin is the chemical that's high in your ears, which causes you to absorb more sound in a sound. You hear the full range of a sound. No race can do that except you. Melanin is high in your brown part of your eyes, called the iris, named after a goddess called Isis. So it causes you to absorb more color when you see a color. You're the only one can see the true color of a color. Everyone else is seeing a pale or blue, a pale or red, a pale or green. So you see the world differently, and you hear the world differently. Melanin is high in your taste buds, which causes you to taste the full flavor of the food, which sets up what we call enzymes to help you break down more nutrients in the food with less energy. We call it conversion reaction. It takes less energy for you to get energy from the food. Europeans have to have worms and parasites and other dead things in their body to help them metabolize food, but that's good for them. I just want you to keep in mind that all worms and parasites are white, so I'm not going to go into that subject either. Nonetheless, we have this melanin in our system, and it's high in your brain, which causes you to store more information in your brain. We call it ancestral memory. This is blocked by a chemical called synthetic oxytocin given to women when they're pregnant, trying to induce labor, which causes the child to have blocked ancestral memory, can't connect to their past too well. They don't want to hear none of that black stuff, you know. So you have this melanin in your body, and it's primarily secreted, made in your intestines. It's made in all parts of your body, like blood cells are made in all parts of your body. It's primarily secreted by a gland called the pineal gland, which is in the center of your brain, in a water-filled space called the third ventricle. And inside of this ventricle, this water-filled space in your center of your brain, is the pineal gland. It's about the size of a pea, a green pea, and it's shaped like a pine cone, thus the name pineal gland. It, of course, it spins like the planets do. It has rotations, which were originally set in motion by hearing your father and smelling your mother. It causes a lateral and horizontal quiver reaction in the pineal gland that causes the child to be bonded to you in a special way that they can't be bonded to a parent that adopts them. This is the pineal gland. The problem with the pineal gland is most of the information is controlled by the military. And the military use that to invent what you call computer chips today. This computer chips crystallize as similar to the melanin. All we know is that if you want to create a drug, you have to destroy, speed up, or slow down melanin. There's a chemist who founded a chemical company called Eli Lilly that makes Prozac and other drugs. He said a drug that doesn't work on melanin is not a drug at all. And that's how we measure whether a drug is effective or not. We call it the half-life, how long it takes a drug to spike its highest level action. So we measure drugs' action by, well, it slows down or speeds up or destroys melanin. The primary reason why we don't know anything about melanin is because no one black has ever been invited to the melanin conferences held by white people, Japanese people, Germans, and Italians in history. They hold a conference about you, and none of us are ever invited. We have it every 3 years. They are always studying and updating information on melanin. That's how you control behaviors. That's what you call the nucleus of the cell. Every cell has a brain, and the brain of the cells in your body is melanin. So to study melanin is to study biology. But they never mention the word melanin in a biology class because they don't want to get you aware of what's really going on. Then we study melanin particles called electrons and protons and solitons and neutrons. We start calling that chemi after the word chemet. And you study melanin particles and we call that chemistry. But they're never going to tell you they're studying melanin because you may get wise to the game and know that the only thing there is to study is you on this planet. All devices are caused by the ability of melanin to create different kind of energy force fields, as people like to say today. It causes energy to spin to the left and to the right, which we call DL and L-phenylalanine and L-glutamine. We give it the names based on spinning. We do that a lot in chemistry. We name things after how it spins, or we name things after the color. Riboflavins, rutins, bioflavonoids. We give things names by color. We give things names by numbers. Vitamin B1, vitamin B2, vitamin B3. And we give things numbers by Latin names. Omega, beta, omega-3, those are Latin names that we give substances. All we do is rename the same thing, but switch the way in which we name it. One time we name it by letters, the next time we name it by colors, the next time we name it by numbers, and then you sit there totally behooved at what's going on, and all we're doing is talking about you, black. But the idea is to keep you totally confused and to some way manipulate your melanin. As I mentioned before, a lot of the research is done by the military because they need to know this. This is how you cause people to be dysfunctional. This is how you cause people to be functional. It's by your ability to manipulate and control melanin. Now, there's some black people who don't think they're black because they're not as black as someone from Somalia or something. But that man is just as black as that man. It's the melanin inside of his body that we measure, not the skin. It's the melanin inside of his body that we measure. Because you can meet some coconuts that are just as white as and you know what I'm saying. So we measure the melanin inside of the body, not the skin melanin, because this can change. Melanin is a very adaptive kind of chemical. That's why the people that can endure the most cold weather in the world are Eskimos, and they are colored people. They are not white. Because the melanin has adaptive ability, what you call evolution. We don't want you to know that all it is we're talking about is adaptation, which is caused by melanin, so we say evolution. We're naming the behavior of melanin, so you won't know that that's what we're talking about. You say free radicals and antioxidants and give it all these names. All we're talking about is how melanin reacts and acts on a chemical. But the objective in science is never to use the word